Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Uh, Let me just recognize the presence of the Honorable Prime Minister and his wife, my cabinet colleagues, the Mayor of the City of Roseau, the good people of Roseau Central. Good evening. I am pleased to hear that the next meeting for Roseau Central will be at a different venue because obviously this venue is way too small. Yes. But I think we can all hear the contributions this evening. And I believe that the stage has already been set in respect of the Citizenship by Investment program because we have heard both from Minister Tong and also from Alvin Bernard the benefits to Dominica by the Citizenship by Investment program. I wish just to say that we have had this program in Dominica since 1993. This is not a new program. It has gone through 3 different party governments. We've had the Eugenia Charles government, under which the program started. It was continued by the United Workers' Party, and it was taken to the next level by the Labour Party. And one has to ask, you have to ask yourself the question, why is it that the opposition and others are beating on this program as much as they're beating on it? Why is that? Now, we have been able to take the citizenship program to another level where we have seen the fruits of that. We have seen monies coming in which have allowed the government to pursue its social programs for the benefit of all. Now, perhaps there were some people who felt that after Tropical Storm Erica destroyed more than 90% of our GDP, that this would have brought this government and this country to its knees. And so they were shocked and they were distressed when they realized that Dominica was not going to be brought to its knees. We have been able to emerge stronger. Our friends have stood with us, and our Citizenship by Investment program has provided a very good buffer for us to be able to do the programs that we want to do. And I just want to say, in relation to the whole Citizenship by Investment program, we have different ways in which we can become a citizen of a country. And I know there are many Dominicans, probably even here, who are citizens of more than one country. You're a citizen of Dominica, you may be a citizen of the US, you may be a citizen of another country. Some of us acquire citizenship by birth, some of us through naturalization, and I'm sure we have some people with us in the audience who are not born in Dominica, but who have become Dominicans because they have resided here for a very long time. What the citizenship program does is allow somebody who invests in the country to be able to get citizenship of the Commonwealth of Dominica. And this is not something unique to Dominica. This is a program that began in St. Kitts. This is a program that used to be done in Canada. This is a type of program that exists in the United States. Of course, there's a variant to that, but it is also a program which allows, through investment, for you to obtain citizenship. There's the EB-5 program in the United States. There are countries in Europe who have a variant of the Citizenship by Investment program, and of course, we have the other OECS countries who have a Citizenship by Investment program. So it's nothing strange for us to have this particular program in Dominica, and every administration since 1993 have kept this program. Now, we hear them saying, and that is right, they are jealous of the program, and they are jealous of what the government has been able to do with this program. We hear them say that we are selling passports to all sorts of crooks and criminals and so on. And when you hear them say that, you need to know what the facts are so that you can refute it. We have tried to ensure that we have put in place a system which has a comprehensive due diligence procedure. We have disclosure forms that has to be filled out by each and every applicant to the program. That disclosure form requires all sorts of information to be provided: where you were born, where you went to school, where you worked, who your family members are, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, what businesses you've worked in, where your source of income is. And a quite comprehensive disclosure is required of each and every applicant. We get that information. It's sent in by the agents to the Citizenship by Investment Unit, and that information is sent to a reputable due diligence firm. And we have 5 due diligence firms from the UK, from the US, and from Canada, all reputable companies who are tasked with doing a due diligence background check on these applicants. And so, using the information that they've provided, they verify that that information is true. They go there, they see the people, they carry out investigations, and they produce a report to the government to either indicate that this person is a bona fide person who doesn't have any criminal background and so on. In addition to us sending this to the due diligence firms, we simultaneously send the information to the CARICOM impacts, which is the Implementation Agency for Crime and Security of CARICOM. All names are sent to them so that they can do their own due diligence checks with Interpol and other criminal agencies. And we also run those names through a database of friendly governments. So we have in place a comprehensive due diligence framework to ensure that the persons who are successful in the program are persons of good character and good reputation. So when we hear stories about we are selling passports to crooks and criminals, that is a complete and utter falsehood, and we must denounce it. We have seen attempts by the opposition and others to call into question our banks and how our banks operate and so on. Our banks are subject to regulation like any other banking institution. A question has been brought in relation to the lots of accounts with one of the foreign banks here. Now, the correspondent banking relationship and the threat to the correspondent banks is an issue that has been around for some time. It is not something that is unique to Dominica. It is something that is faced by CARICOM, by the Caribbean region, by Africa, by the Pacific. We are all small jurisdictions, and the cost of doing business with our small jurisdictions is felt by some of the banking institutions in the United States and Canada, but particularly the United States, that it's not worth the risk to them of doing business with our small jurisdictions because we don't generate the sort of business that would make it worth their while. It is not a question of they being concerned about our banking practices, but more because the risk involved to them, if anything goes wrong, and the fines, the millions of dollars in fines that they would have to pay, that it's not worth their risk. And when we look at this issue, we look at a country like Belize who does not have a citizenship by investment program, but they have lost their correspondent banking relations. So that issue is not something that Dominica faces because of the CBI program. And I think we need to be aware of that so that when we hear these things, we know that what they're saying, there is no basis in truth in what they're saying. Exactly. And so we just want to assure you that we have put in place a good system to ensure that proper due diligence is done in respect of the applicants. When we get the reports back at the Citizenship by Investment Unit, it is reviewed by the examiners within the unit. Now, government has continued to invest in the staffing arrangements at the unit to ensure that sufficient staff are there who can go through the files, ensure that everything is in order, ensure that the due diligence report captures each and every matter that it should capture to ensure that the persons that come through the program are the right sort of persons that we would want to be citizens of the Commonwealth of Dominica. There is also if it is felt that an interview is required with those persons, then there's a committee in place who can conduct an interview. So there's a process that is followed to ensure that persons who come through the system are in fact persons of good repute that we would want to be citizens of Dominica. And there are many reasons why persons would want to become citizens of another country. There are some persons who, through no fault of theirs, are in countries which are in turmoil, and they've had to move to other countries, and for ease of travel and for them to be able to settle and find a better life in other countries, they would feel that they need to participate in this program. And as I indicated, this is something that is in many parts of the world, in the US, in Europe, in Canada. Now, we have heard questions about how the finances of the Citizenship by Investment program are being handled. Now, I'm not sure how many of you would have heard the financial secretary speak on this matter at the business forum, which was held at Fort Young Hotel a few weeks ago. But the finances that come in through this program are being handled by public officers. It's not Roosevelt Skerritt that's getting the money. The money goes into a government account. The account is listed on the CBI website. So when persons are successful, they are asked to pay the monies into one of the government accounts. And the signatories on these accounts are the public officers, the financial secretary, the budget controller, and the persons within the unit. And the public officials of the Ministry of Finance must sign off on any withdrawals from that account. So this is not a question of there being a special account that this money goes into that the Prime Minister alone has access to. This is something that public officers are in control of. And I think I should say something further in relation to that fact. All of the public accounts can be inquired into by the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. And I think it's important for us to know that the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament is chaired by the Leader of the Opposition. So when the Leader of the Opposition is out there saying that basically Coco Macaque is being done in relation to finances, he is chair of the Public Accounts Committee. He has a responsibility to inquire into it. But I'll tell you why he will not inquire into it. Because the Public Accounts Committee inquired into the public support program. They grilled the public officers for 2 or 3 days on the public support program, and they could find nothing wrong. So they know that the government is handling the finances of the country properly. So why go through the checking of the citizenship accounts? Because they know that the government is managing the accounts of the country properly. So when they tell you those things, you have to ask the question, well, you're chair of the Public Account Committee. Why don't you go and inquire into it? So the government has ensured that the finances of the Citizenship by Investment program are being used for the benefit of each and every one of us in Dominica. There are those who are getting benefits, the 70 plus and over. There are those who are the young mothers, age 35 and below, that a new system is being put in place so that there can be insurance for those young mothers. Honorable Tong spoke earlier about different initiatives that are being financed by the Citizenship by Investment program, the West Bridge in Roseau, the Roseau Enhancement Project. I said the West Bridge. There are other things. We have, for example, the works on in Cabanis. We saw very recently the further damage that was done to the Cabanis area. And government was able to step in very quickly and restore access for the people of the Roseau Valley area because we had the flexibility of having income from the Citizenship by Investment program. So we look at geothermal, for example. We have put millions of dollars into the geothermal project. And government has indicated that it will pull, I believe, PM up to $45 million more into the geothermal project, and along with other donors like the World Bank and so on. Now, the geothermal project is going to be a project that will result in a reduction in electricity, which will benefit each and every one of us in Dominica. It will benefit us personally. It will benefit the businesses. It will reduce the cost of doing business. And what you have to ask yourself the question, why is it that we are seeking, or some of us are seeking, to destroy a program that can bring in funds to address the challenges that we have in this country? Why is that? We look at the airport and the destruction that was caused to the airport by Erica, and how quickly we were able to respond to that, not only with funds from the CBI, but also with the assistance of our friends and partners as well. Work is still ongoing on the airport, but we were at a point where many people would have thought that Dominica would be suffering for a very long time, and it would be very, very difficult for us to recover. And I think it frightened the opposition when the Prime Minister explained to Parliament the amount of money that was being raised by the Citizenship by Investment program, and the fact that that was going to be used to fund all of our capital projects for the country. That was too much for them. They could not take that. So when we look at those things, we have to be aware, and we have to know that what we are seeing happening now, there's a plan, and it is because they know that if this program continues, the government will be able to take this country exactly where we want it to go. Look at the resettlement of Petite Savanne. The resettlement of Petite Savanne is being done under the Citizenship by Investment program. We have a situation where 2 communities in Dominica, which had to be relocated as a result of Tropical Storm Erica. We have successfully relocated one of them, the Dubic, and we are working assiduously to also resettle the Petite Savanne people at Bellevue-Chopin. Now, how would this government have been able to do that if we did not have the support of the Citizenship by Investment program? And so all of these people who will benefit as a result of that, all of them and all of us should be very upset when we hear the things that are being said about the program and the attempt to destroy this program and discredit this country. So we have to think as Dominicans, are we being patriotic when we stand there or we sit there and we say negative things about the country? And where we feel comfortable in inviting foreigners to come and say negative things about this country. So we have to ask ourselves a question. If we genuinely care about this country, no matter if it's fair enough, you can criticize the government, but where you seek to destroy your country in the things that you say, then you do not love your country. And we have to be very careful what choices we make. Do we want to put people who do not love our country to rule the country? So I believe I don't want to take up any more time because I think there are other speakers ahead of me. But thank you very much for your attention.